Hello again, and thank you for joining me on another episode of What Saith the Crooked Nose. Today, I'm going to be talking to a friend, somebody who I met through the Elite Mentorship Forum, somebody who I've had the opportunity to share my gift as a healer, and Eric, who I'll be talking to. This fantastic human being has been going around Cuba a lot, doing a lot of awesome dancing. I'm a little bit jelly. And I could really see myself doing much the same thing. I feel myself being called on a pilgrimage of a sort to travel South America, travel into Asia. I personally want to see a lot of the pyramids that we have scattered around the world. But taking time for dancing, right? Taking time for dancing, especially dancing with different cultures, spending time with different cultures. And as you'll see when I talk to Eric, right, you'll get pretty quickly from his accent that he's also from a different culture to mine. And he kind of represents one of the most beautiful ideas and aspects of, those who are involved in the Elite Mentorship Forum is that this international community that comes together to share and harmonize their love and their passion for life. And I think that you're going to see that Eric has quite a bit of that love and passion for life. So I'm excited to see where this conversation goes, and I suspect that you're in for a real treat. And as always, hey, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you liked, let me know what you didn't like. If I lose you anywhere, hey, let me know. That way I can get some feedback and I can make these better for you. Sound good? Thanks as always. All right, Eric, thank you so much for joining me, man. I'm really excited. You're somebody who has gone through the same training that I have, but more than once. In fact, I met you because you were going through, I want to say, a second time when you were part of EMS 17. Please correct me if it was more than the second time. But you're somebody who seems to really enjoy life, enjoy celebrating life, and living to the fullest. And I love that a lot. I'm very excited to see where this conversation goes, and wondering if you could just maybe start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, and what it is that that kind of makes you tick.
What makes me tick about myself? I'm Scottish. I'm 61, although I celebrated my first birthday. And thank you very much for joining us last last summer for that. I live in France. I've been living in France. I work as a battlefield tour guide. I'm very successful. Got a very good reputation. Talk about people during the Second World War. I moved into EMF, EMT work. Simply because it's a great passion of mine to understand what goes on in life. And that just comes from personal experience in life. I had PTSD for 47 years and I was completely traumatized for 57. And so I went through an awful lot of therapy and then through EMF, the Peter Sage pumping into my life when it was meant to. And it changed my life completely. I used to be living in victim mode, probably for the best part of 60 years. Try to destroy myself almost every day. And to be honest, I absolutely love myself these days. There's been, a 100% transformation in everything. Life is absolutely beautiful. I did do an awful lot of therapy before I started EMF. I did something called EMDR therapy, which is kind of all going to be relevant to what we're going to talk about, because it got me to kind of start an EMF or being in a position in life so I could advance myself, because I knew, and I had great help from somebody I call one of my angels in life, a woman called Sandrine I used to live with. And she knew there was somebody really nice in here. Yeah. Somebody with a huge brain, kind of very kind of woo. He's a bit different.
Aren't we all?
And it was her love for me and my love for me which got me into therapy. And then in the EMF after we'd split up. So EMF, yeah, changed my life.
Do you mind if I poke a little bit into you mentioned PTSD? If that's essential.
I had PTSD since I was 13. I was sexually abused for 4.5 years. And one very nice, kind of gave me a huge, and apart from that, I kind of came from a family that showed me no love. And with an older brother that got everything. So I kind of felt very unworthy and all the rest, and,
Yeah.
loveless and unlovable. And then I got abused for a number of years. And I had a lot of problems in life, absolutely millions of them. Yeah, telling you the truth. I couldn't cope with what was going on up top. I'm also what people call gifted, or HBE in French. So my kind of brain works a bit slightly differently from other people's.
Maybe
I've
that's
got
why I like it so
huge
much.
emotions, huge soul, huge brains, huge heart. They're my kind of three main gifts from God, or what I call God. Yeah, everybody's allowed to call it whatever they want, but I'm a huge believer in the divine spirit. Yeah, a creator. Yeah,
Yeah.
an
And
overall single force of the universe. Yeah.
and so you're struggling with PTSD for a long time. And at what point did you start going to counseling?
Started years ago, back in 2013, I think. I had a friend, I call her my first angel, Marina. We had a big argument, and she kind of stormed off, came back and go, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" And it was literally her words. And it's, this guy in Scots used that word as a bit of an expressive word, not a swear word. But
Yeah.
it was really her words. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. And it was the first time I ever told somebody that I was being abused. It was a long time, to be able to actually say and name the person and forgive them, by name.
Well, and when you were going to counseling, how long were you doing that before you were introduced to EMF?
Well, I probably started counselling on and off in 2014. I had a few years, and I had a few counsellors that moved jobs, and I had a bit of a period in between that I didn't go. There was a lot of shit happened in my life. I met a woman that stole 32,000 euros off me. And I kind of knew it because, I was unworthy. Yeah. And just kind of, I lived as a victim.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
So you
Did
invited
have three
people into your
suicide
life to
attempts
victimize you.
throughout life. Second one was pretty successful. Apart from the paramedics came around and brought me back to life. So it's been very varied. And to be where I am now, I tell people I live in a stage of love, and I do.
And
I have my ups and my downs, but on a daily basis, I live in a stage of love. It's been an incredible transformation from being absolutely petrified from people. Because PTSD, it's a trauma disease, and I was petrified of people because I was abused. So now to live where I am, is an absolute gift. My faith, my love of my faith, is love in me, and my belief in myself. That has been
when
one
did
of the
you, with all
real
your
things that came out of EMF.
with all your trauma and with all, with a lot of, feeling in victim mode, at what point did you start finding that self-love and that belief and that faith that actually served you?
You know what? All of my life, there's been one little thing that kept me going. Yeah. There's a little glow in my soul throughout all the years of trauma.
Yeah.
All the years of PTSD and abuse and everything. And I always knew that I had something. I had no idea what it was, but it was a glow that kind of kept me alive a lot of the time. And when I went through EMDR therapy, it kind of took away every trauma I had, and it left me kind of ground zero. It's a bit like whitewashing your brain cells of traumas, but I had no idea who I was. Yeah. I have a near photographic brain if I want to use it. Yeah. It's very much like that. Yeah. And I never use my brain to speak. That's one of the big things that people need to learn about me, is I always talk with my heart. Everything I tell you today comes straight from my heart. My brain has got nothing to do with formulating anything that comes out of my mouth at all, in relation to the story of life, and why we're here. So I speak from my heart, and that obviously gets you into problems from time to time when you're very honest about things. Yeah. In the EMF, it was really at ground zero. I had no idea who I was. I knew I had a gift. I've always known I've had a gift because I was different as a child. But nobody could explain it back in the 60s and 70s, not where I came from anyway. Came from a very rough area. And that was one of my big revelations in life. And in fact, that was probably one of the first big changes. Sandrine, my ex, she's part of Mensa, big. And she used to always say, "You know what I love about you, Eric, is you're absolutely crazier than me." And she actually meant me. more intelligent than her. Yeah, but off the wall. Yeah, and it was true. Yeah, she gave me a book one day. She came home and she got, here, read this. And I said, okay. So I read it. And it was like reading my life history, to tell you the truth. It was a Russian guy that had read it. It was called something like The Life of a Gifted Boy, or something like that. And I really kind of looked at it, and she said, what do you think? And I said, it's like reading my life story. Yeah.
Mm.
From when I was a little boy, just thinking that I was weird and different, and going through school being different. And it was really like reading my life story. And that was my first kind of big change in life, realizing that I wasn't weird. Yeah. I was just different. I live in 2% of the population, they say. And so that was a real life changer. And then, I went to EMDR therapy and cured that. And that was a very long, very, very, very painful process. Tore my life apart, tore my soul apart, my brain apart, every feeling I thought I had in myself. And just left me there at the end. They kind of started a rebuilding program. But I joined EMF, or I joined USM, and then EMF just a kind of week or so later. And I went through that, and that really, it was painful to go through all the exercises and stuff, the shoulder exercise and the knee exercise. One of the things that had bothered me a lot in my life, because I really, I've grown up basically, feeling abandoned. So I had a soulmate. God sent me a soulmate when I was young. And he sent me one who was dying. I could never understand this because I was fucking off my head with PTSD. Yeah. I was really in about probably the worst place I could have been at that point in my kind of mid-late 20s. Really off the wall. I watched her die. Yeah. And I was really traumatized by it all. Yeah. I basically spent 3 years going to hospital with somebody that I absolutely, I call her a soulmate because she's still here in spirit.
Yeah.
Because she is. And I know it's a blessing. But I thought I'd abandoned her. Yeah. Because I simply wasn't there the second that she shouted my name before she died. That caused me a lot of problems. Obviously, kind of thinking I'd abandoned the person that I truly loved. I always wondered why God sent me a soulmate who was dying. And I figured it out. You always figure something out. It's a lesson in life. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you figure out, if you don't mind my asking?
My biggest gift is love. If anybody knows me closely, or gets to know me well, you realize my biggest gift is just that downright unconditional love. And my gift from her was to understand my gift, because she loved unconditionally. It took me 30 years. In fact, it took me to just before I went to Cuba last year for the first time.
Really?
I had a huge download, or what I call a visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. A huge energy wave. She stood in front of me as a lump of energy. I understood that. Yeah. Why it gave me her. Because it is my biggest gift. To understand what love truly means. And when you do, it's incredible. When you live in a nice stage of love, life is just beautiful.
Life is beautiful.
It really is. Yeah, I have my ups and my downs. I've got a big problem with my son just now. It's not one of my big tests. He's back living with me. He's burgled my house 3 times in the past. Having him living with me was a very big test.
Oh my gosh.
He's been very ill. So I've just found out he's probably autistic as well. It's probably maybe part of his problem, So yes, it's just another big thing arriving in life. It's a lesson for me. I've got this kind of reflection back into my own life, I suppose. Yeah.
And so at what point did you find yourself no longer living in victim mode?
Quite a bit into EMF. It took me a few months. I probably started EMF maybe about 3 weeks after other people. EMF 14. And there was a nice people. And I said to people when I did my introduction video, I've come here because I believe I can tell the truth about life. Yeah. And there'll be people who here can listen. Yeah. And we can all help and learn. And it was true. Yeah. It's a huge family. Yeah. And it took me a few months, I had to go through a lot of exercises and stuff like that, shoulder exercises. And, the benefit of learning how to control your emotion and thought pattern is absolutely incredible. Yeah. Oh, here's an emotion coming. Nah, I don't really fancy that one today. I'm going to think about something else. Bang.
Yeah.
Well, I was ruled by emotions all in my life. Yeah, they weren't very nice ones. So to arrive at a point that when something when I kind of thought from maybe the past, we all have old patterns still running, no matter how much cleaning we do. No one pops up, and I kind of go, nah, just not interested. It's not me. Yeah, it's not my life anymore. Yeah, and I did some really big shoulder exercises, parental stuff, and actually, I never did one on being sexually abused. I never thought I had to anymore because I can forgive the person by name. And that was huge. And that I learned through Peter Sage,
That's
going
awesome.
through EMF. And by
I
the
like
time,
that.
I'd worked through, you do the first, kind of first phase. About halfway into the second phase, life was really beginning to change. I was really bouncing off the wall, kind of Christmas time, 2020. Or 2021 it would have been, because kind of last year I graduated, I suppose, in April. And I was really bouncing off the wall, up and down, like a huge tidal wave. And then it cracked. I had a few big conversations with the family, or what was left of my family, my mother, when she described me as being mentally ill. It's like a huge kind of fallout yet again. But I forgive her for that. It's just what happens at the time. I would have said my massive change kind of came Christmas, New Year. I've been building towards it for months and months and months and months. And then it was just, whap, that's it. Eric, kind of arrived, Yeah, I kind of woke up one day, a bit like I woke up on New Year's Day this year, and I knew my life was going to be absolutely brilliant this year. And that's why I went back to Cuba. Yeah. And I just woke up and I went, fuck, I feel
That's
completely
awesome.
different today. This is where I'm meant to be. Yeah.
And so almost like night and day,
Night
just
and
like
day,
the scales fell from your eyes.
Peter uses the stonemason story when he's chipping away at the stone, trying to get that perfect little cut. Yeah. And he chips it 99 times. And he chips it 100 times and it comes off perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we all know it wasn't the 100th chip that did it. Yeah.
There was a 99 before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus the 100th one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. To build the whole picture. Yeah. Of life. I'm now really, really, really pleased that I was abused. I had parents that couldn't love me and love my brother. And it's still very much like that with my mum and my brother. I don't care. I'm very,
So you mentioned the
very,
shoulder exercise a few times, and for anyone who isn't affiliated or isn't aware of what that means, effectively, right there, Peter Sage takes us through this idea of treating the knee versus treating the shoulder. A lot of people feel pain in their knee and like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with my knee. What they don't realize is a lot of times that can actually come from a tight shoulder, because the way that our muscles wrap around our body, well, the tight shoulder pulls on the back then pulls on the leg then pulls on the knee. And so understanding the underlying conditions that then cause the problem is fundamental to getting those 99 before, right? As you're getting those 99 chips in, you're dealing with the fundamental issues. And what's interesting about what you just said about your family still in a place where they're not able to give you the love that you need or love that you desired. When I was a kid, I felt much the same way, right? My folks got divorced when I was 2. My mom remarried to a very tyrannical drunk who was pretty free with his fists, and beat up all 3 of us boys. And it seemed like a place, it seemed like hell, really. It seemed like there was a demon that I lived with, and you just never knew when he would snap and just go berserk. And once I started going through EMF, I eventually was led to Ed Stracher, who taught me how to heal. And as I was going through how to heal my own soul, I've shared the story with Cindy Francis, who I think also was EMF 14, if I'm not mistaken.
she's a soul.
Yeah. And so I went to a sensory deprivation tank, and inside that tank, I started playing with this idea of, well, I've seen TV, in TV shows where people go in this tank and they create their own dimensions, they access a whole new dimension. So, hey, why not me? And so I started playing with this idea. Okay, well, I'm filling myself with the most divine sense of love and just feeling better than I've ever felt. And I intuited this idea of, well, I should pull up and summon the worst possible memory that I can possibly imagine. And so what I did is, just like I was in a hologram, I projected, in this place of pure darkness, right, where I'm accessing this new dimension. I summoned the memory as it's like playing. I summoned the little boy version of me that witnessed, this memory, and then I projected myself next to that little boy, and I held his hand. And so with all that, all that grossness displaying in that memory, what I did was I filtered it through the love that I had. I gave it to my connection to heaven and earth, and then I passed that on to myself, to the little boy version of me. And what I did was I started loving myself the same way that I loved my son. The way that I've been around, where in a manner in which my dad was never around for me. I was able to love my son in a way in which I don't feel like I've ever had that type of love from my parents. And so I loved me in the way in which I was capable of giving love. And I went back and figured out, I didn't realize it at the time, it took me some time to unpack what actually happened. But I realized that I could actually become my own dad, that I could give myself the love that I needed from my dad, and then that would no longer drag me down. And when that happened, right, so I filtered that love out. I gave this kid a hug, right, myself, and I told him he never had to be afraid ever again. And I just started bawling, man, just crying and just letting go of all the bullshit, the things that were unnecessary. I didn't need to hold on anymore. And it was one of the most incredible healing experiences I ever had.
I totally relate to that, Josh, mate. When I didn't go into deep tank, but when I was doing EMDR therapy, I was a little boy hiding in the corner. Yeah. Yep. And I had to go and rescue me.
Yeah.
I had to go and let me know that I loved me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was safe with me.
Yeah.
And then you hit it really well, You learn to love yourself.
Yeah.
Not be frightened of yourself.
Yeah.
To forgive yourself first. Because you don't get to love in yourself till you've actually forgiven yourself. And you need a lot of faith for this, Josh. You need to believe. You need to believe that you're really here for a purpose. And you served these tests in life or lessons in life for your greatness. I truly believe that I've got a real gift.
Well, and I've been following your Facebook page or your posts rather, for a while, and you've been spending a lot of time in Cuba, so much dancing, and at the end of it all, I had, spoiler alert, we find out at the end of EMF that our legacy is effectively to rebuild who we are so we can show up as the true I am. And
Cuba builds me.
And have you ever felt more connected to life than when you're in Cuba, just dancing and just experiencing life and just loving and sharing that joy?
There was a reason when we went to Cuba, obviously. Yeah. I've got three really huge passions in life. I absolutely love my job talking about the Second World War and the subject of liberty. I'm absolutely brilliant at it. I'm really good. I love what we're talking about. And this is why I'm going to be, I said to myself when I started EMF, about a third of the way through, I said to myself, I'm going to be one of Peter Sage's great trainers one day. Because this is my subject.
Yeah.
It really is my subject. But my other life, the thing that really touches Eric's soul, which puts the most ginormous smile on my face, is that, I love music and dance. And I started salsa dancing years ago. I tried to do it in a language I didn't speak, French. It was very difficult and I made big errors. And I still make errors on time instantly. I literally had my first class in English, my native language, when I went to Cuba last year, in November. And it changed my life. Now, I've wanted to go to Cuba for a long time. and I booked a holiday. It was cancelled a number of times at the end of COVID throughout 2020. It was my 60th birthday present to myself. You know, basically the end of my EMDR therapy. Okay. And I'm glad it got cancelled 3 times because I wasn't ready.
Ah,
and I went and I booked myself a month. I had 2 weeks with people, 20 odd people. Most of them live in Paris, all French, apart from a Spanish guy. 2 Cuban dance teachers that live in Paris, I know quite well. And it was a real test. It was 2 weeks with, sharing a room with somebody. Fuck me, I haven't done that since I was a kid. And he snored badly. I went and slept outside. I didn't say that. But, as a gifted person, you're always on the outside of life. You're always on the outside of the circle because you never quite fit. Yeah. So to spend 2 weeks with 20 odd people, 24 hours a day, breakfast, dance class, lunch, dancing or at the beach in the afternoon, dinner, out dancing in the evening for 2 weeks solid. It was a real test of my new character. Yeah. And I had to warn people. And I did once I was there, kind of first few days, I was going, I'm a little bit different than you, right? You have to be aware of this, yeah, because I am. And it does come over when people get spent time with me. They realize, well, he is a little bit different than other people. Yeah, but he's nice. And everybody loved me. I must admit, there was a few of them took a week or so to get used to me. Well, they all loved me at the end of the 2 weeks. And I had 2 weeks on my own. I'd gone to dance school. And it really didn't go well first couple of days. In fact, my class wasn't even on the first day and I had booked for some reason. I went back the next day. And I went to this little dance teacher who came out, Sayeth, and we kind of danced a bit. And I had another clash with another dance teacher who drove me. I was absolutely scared. He was throwing warrior energy at me, like his archetype was on fire. Right? We just had a clash, I'm an earth person. Yeah. And he had this, kind of about 5 broadswords drawn for some reason. For some reason, he just, and the lesson went crap. And they went crap the next day. And eventually, on the second day, I said to I said, he's doing my head in. Yeah? I said, he's throwing this warrior. I said, listen, you got to understand, I'm not like you. I said, I live on people's energies. Yeah. And I said, he's throwing warrior energy at me. And I said, I'm not frightened of him, but it's fucking thrown me off balance.
Yeah, immediately resisting.
I've got no idea why. He's obviously got something to prove to me. Yeah. He's a brilliant dancer. I've said that. And I turned around to him in the middle of the class and said, I'm not here to waste your fucking time or my bloody money. I said, but you're fucking petrifying me. Yeah. I'm not frightened of you, but your energy. I said, just doing my head in. So she had to dance. I talked with him, and the next day it all went really well, strangely enough. And that's kind of how I met Sarah, who became my dance teacher for the next 2 months, the next 2 weeks.
And how did that work out for you?
Really beautiful souls. Somebody that I manifested into my life.
So being brave enough to be able to speak your truth, and be able to share that your vulnerable place, that actually worked out well for you then.
Well, I had to, and it did. I'd only kind of booked a week's worth of course. And then I might have a friend come from Florida and she couldn't make it. I knew. And I realized that I had a bit of a download. And I thought, what the fuck am I doing in Cuba? Why am I truly here? Eric, you're here because you love to dance. And you want to dance with Cubans. So I booked myself another week at school with a teacher, Steiner. And I got to really know her really, 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 really well. And it really, changed my dance completely. I spent 2 weeks dancing in English. Or most of it in English, with a bit of Spanish thrown in, right? Yeah. And it really changed my life. My dancing's absolutely 100 times better now when I came back.
And what do you think
I could really understand how the musicality of it all fitted together and what I'd been missing by trying to learn it in French. And then I came back, and all I wanted to do from the day I came back, and I actually kind of started a couple of days before I came back, was I kind of started talking to my teacher kind of almost every day about all sorts of things in life. BMF. I like to guide people in life when I talk to them, offer them inspiration and hope. And I find it just comes naturally to me with people.
Is that why you're drawn to the World War II, history is just kind of the inspirational story of effectively defeating tyrannical evil and how we were able to raise ourselves up after complete catastrophe?
The Second World War gave people hope. We've lost sight of that in the world. Governments don't want you to have hope.
No, they don't.
They want you to be sheep.
Yep.
As Peter goes through his big anti-media, thing. It is true. Governments don't want you to have hope.
Right.
But if you actually think on it, the Second World War, if you have to put your back yourself in the context, it gave the world hope. People from all over the world came together.
And so when you went dancing in Cuba, you were drawn there to dance. Do you feel like that also kind of helped restore your own sense of hope?
Builds my confidence and faith in myself. It really does. And I grew greatly when I was in Cuba the first time. I grew greatly in Cyrus' presence, to tell you the truth. I think there's reasons why we met. I had a chance about this. How God put two souls together who were meant to be together. And that's why I went back to Cuba. I only stayed about a month. I came back in kind of end of November, spent the whole of December going, what the shit am I doing here? I came back to find my son had stolen 2,000 euros off me.
Damn.
Yeah, while I was away in Cuba, and he was still staying in my house and didn't have the money to pay me back. But all I wanted to do was go and investigate what was going on in my soul. So I built myself, I woke up on New Year's Day. And I went, and we've been talking almost every day, on and off, back on, WhatsApp, Cuba, France. And I woke up on New Year's Day and I went, this is going to be my year. I'm going to join EMT now, which I did more or less that day. And I woke up and I wandered over to my phone and there was a message from Cuba, from Sayeth. I thought, that's it. I'm going back to Cuba. I've got to understand what's going on in my life. So I booked a flight, went back on the 30th, came back a couple of weeks ago. I had no idea what was going to happen in life. Peter says, follow your heart, follow your soul. I did. Stepped up, my warrior went, yeah, Eric. My summoner went, Eric, yeah, on you go. I didn't need to ask my lover or my magician because they were already there. So I went. I'm really pleased. I've had a really incredible time. No idea what the outcome of going to France, going back to Cuba was going to be. Spent another couple of weeks every day with my beautiful dance teacher. I've invited her to come and live with me in France, to tell you the truth. She says, yeah.
Wow. I love it, man.
You see, that's why I went to France, back to Cuba.
And so is it fair to say that while the EMDR therapy helped you become a little bit more of a blank slate, that EMF is really what kind of ignited your spiritual path?
It put me back on the spot. It gave me me. It gave me my love and understanding of me. The absolutely incredible soul that I am. And it made me realize that I have got a huge gift, basically love for people, but I also got a huge understanding of the dark and light side of life. And that's really my gift of life. Yeah. And it was when I was going through the EMDR therapy that I realized, when I said to my counselor, I said, I think I need your job. Yeah.
Need his job?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I said, I think this is what I'm meant to do in life. I said, how can I do this? And he says, well, it's going to, years at university and stuff like that. And I had huge faith in myself. That's the thing. You need to develop this faith. Yeah. Not only, in the power of the universe, if that's where you go. I had a buddy, Richard Pierce, and he hated the word God and the word prayer. Yeah. And I goes, Richard, my God, right? Not to offend you, but my God, right? Yeah. And to be honest, he uses both words quite freely these days. Yeah.
So do you have a definition of God that you'd be willing to share? Like your own personal definition?
That's a very good question. Yeah. Starts with an L, ends with an E, an O and a V in the middle.
Mm.
Because if you don't have that, you've got nothing. Apart from that and your health. Yeah. Because it is the true meaning of life. Because once you can love yourself, it comes out forgiving yourself. Your life changes completely.
Well, then you're actually in a position to help others, because most people have no
my
idea how
son's
to
got
love themselves
masters and
either.
problems. It doesn't faze me at all because I love myself and I love my son. Yeah. I have faith. And no matter what gets thrown at me. And I've got some really big tests going on.
Sounds like it.
The more you love yourself, the more you grow into your person. As Peter's absolutely right. The bigger tests get big. I don't think I could get much more tests of being sexually abused and killing myself, drug addict for years. Well, I've been there. I've been down all the roads from PTSD, mate. I used to torture myself every single night.
Yeah.
Because if I slept, I had nightmares about getting abused. Yeah. So for about 40 years, I only used to sleep for a couple hours and wake up, sleep for a couple hours, wake up. All I had was nightmares. To live where you see me now in this video. Yeah.
I remember there was a nightmare I used to have. It's surprising that I still remember it, because I don't think I've had it since 1992. I think it was the last time I had it. But in living in the house where there was this, tyrannical demon guy who, would freak out, just drink, and then just snap, and then just start beating the crap out of all the kids. I'd sleep is where I wouldn't have to deal with the demon, but then the demons would encroach into my dreams. And so I had this recurring dream. I don't know that I fully understand it. I kind of started piecing some things together, but I'd always walk through this doorway. And as I walked through this doorway, immediately presented in front of me is a path to go up, a set of stairs to go up, and a set of stairs to go down. And when I'd look up, I'd see like this iconic witch on a broomstick, green, and just look, and that would bob, that would just bob right past. So I'm thinking, well, balls to that. I ain't going up there where there's a witch. But I could feel that there was a monster after me. I could feel it. And so I'd go downstairs, which is funny because I was deathly afraid of basements, afraid of ghosts. I grew up with a grandfather who told me about how ghosts were real. He talked about how he's seen ghosts in like caves in Brazil, breathing fire, scaring the crap out of people. How he's seen ghosts or like shaking chandeliers and stuff. So, so and so basements are where, I basically would attribute where ghosts would be. And so I went downstairs, which is very counterintuitive. I could feel this pressing need to hide because the monster's after me. I need to hide. I need to hide. And the only place that I could find to hide was in the fireplace. And so I go and hide in the fireplace. The fire would turn on and I'd wake up every time. Yeah, very strange. And it's weird that I still remember it, but I am well acquainted with having the demons in the waking world, really assault the sleeping world and really every part of the world, and having the ability to grow into my own strength and grow into, my own man, and grow into the version of me that I want to be, has been extremely liberating. And I learned how to survive beyond that little boy and survive beyond those, but never really learned how to thrive.
It's
wasn't
the word, you hit it on the word.
Yep.
I would say exactly the same. I learned how to live, survive with my illness.
Yeah.
But it affected every bit of my life, like yours sounds like it affected every bit of your life as well. And then when you break free, Josh, it's like it's like that you've been, Atlas carrying the world around all of your life, isn't it? One day you're just suddenly there, and Eric, I love you. It's arrived. All of those years of torture and pain, and it doesn't matter a toss anymore because I'm here. It's all that matters now.
So
Me.
what I wonder with those feelings, right? Because I've certainly had times where I felt like there was more, and I just didn't know how to achieve it. And physics and mystics alike will talk about how time is an illusion, and time happens all at once, right? What we perceive as linear time is basically happening all at once. So, do you think that Eric of what we see as a linear future was reaching back to Eric in the before, and you could almost communicate and can send yourself telepathic messages like, hey, it's okay, you're going to get there, I know this sucks, but
Well, yeah,
you're
I've
strong
kind
enough.
of been there, to tell you the truth. Yeah, in my head, I've been there. Yeah, been back and visited myself
Mm-hmm.
a number of times. And you've obviously been there because you're asking. You've done
Yeah.
that. Yeah. When you go back and you see yourself as that little boy, God, what emotions did it rips you apart, when you look at them and you feel how petrified they were, how frightened, and how unloved they actually were. Yeah. How lost is a good description as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and then to bring your own self back into your own life, to love yourself, love that little boy, let him out, let him grow into who you are now, grow into who I am now. Yeah, it takes an awful lot of faith and courage. When I went through the EMDR, I know quite a lot of people in the army. And Sandrine, my girlfriend at the time, one of her best friends, he's not too long out of French Special Forces. And she said to him, she's a, how would you describe Sandrine? She's a business psychologist. She's got 2 degrees, one in business psychology and one in psychology. So she knows the head subject well. And I was talking away with the guy, and he goes, "You're doing EMDR therapy, aren't you?" And he says, "How is it?" And I'm kind of going, "I was fucking tearing my head apart." And he goes, he says, how, it's really painful, apparently. And I go, I tell the guy the truth. And I go, yeah. I says, it's the most painful thing I've ever done. However, I believe it's going to be probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I prayed for him to go and do it himself because he suffered really badly as well.
Mm-hmm.
But his was, kind of war trauma type stuff, abuse type stuff. But yeah, to do that, probably was one of them. It literally ripped my brain apart, Every thought and illusion, thought I had of myself was completely destroyed. Kind of down to absolutely zero. But yeah, everything happens in life for a reason. Just as I finished EMDR, I split up with Sandrine a couple of days before my 60th birthday. And then all of my friends gave me money to go to Cuba for my 60th birthday, including Sandrine, paid for a large chunk of my 60th birthday.
Oh, wow.
We're great friends. We go out for dinner once a month. In fact, my 2 last girlfriends, I call them my 2 angels, Marina and Sandrine, Angel 1 and Angel 2, both
Mm-hmm.
living, both ex-girlfriends. We have absolutely incredible relationships together.
And
And we're absolutely, the best friends ever, right?
what's
And we
interesting
were
is,
when we were together, but we were just never meant to be long-term together.
well, and what I like about that idea right there is that so my son's mom, right, my ex-wife, Sarah. So I mean, we were together for what, 8 years, and probably shouldn't have gotten together, but we did. We brought the worst out of each other, but we try to stay together for honorable reasons,
Children.
which we both intellectually knew were not good, right? Hey, we have a kid, let's stay together. And it got to a point where I realized that, you know what, we're both good people. This is before I ever met Peter. It's a good year and a half before I met Peter. Hey, you know what, we're both good people, but we bring the worst out in each other. And so I bought a condo, moved out, and allowed us to actually start to heal. And now we I don't know that we could say that we're great friends, but we're certainly friendly. I've gone over there and had dinner. She's invited me over to spend time with her family, which is really nice. Great relationship where we can actually talk, about our son and not freak out. I don't need to moralize. Well, just because you broke up with me, that must mean you're a terrible person. Right. I initiated it so we could actually heal. I initiated it so we could actually realize that, hey, you know what, we are good people and there's better things in store for us than just being miserable and mad at somebody else who's bringing us down. And I think it did us both well. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was hard, man. My life radically changed. It got a lot worse before it got better, but it got a lot worse because I needed it to get worse because I wouldn't have gone through the steps to find the spiritual mastery, to find the psychological mastery, right? To actually become the man that I am today. And so, I certainly don't blame it. And I'm glad it happened. I wouldn't like it to happen again, but I now know that if something similar were to happen, well, now I'm strong enough, right? Now I'm strong enough to know, well, hey, if I have the certainty within, well, I can handle anything in the outside world. Yeah, it might freak me out at first. I might have to realize, like, oh yeah, let me get back to ground zero.
Settle.
Yep.
Settle. Ground.
Yep.
Think about what's really happening in life. Break it down in a couple of words. What has actually happened?
Yep.
I've got a quite similar story with my ex-wife. I actually never got married. I was very, very ill at the time. I've got 2 kids. I let her take all the money from the house and all the savings in the divorce because I was unworthy. And the judge didn't like me, so she awarded them my house and my savings. For some reason, I got nothing. Well, basically 15% of the house I bought and paid for. Now we're going really well now. We both matured. She's grown. She does quite a lot of, kind of well-being work herself. I'm possibly going to send her an invite to, create your own life thing. One of the kind of little 2-weekly introduction things to EMF. I think she might be interested in it now. She's kind of moving in that general direction. So yeah, and to be honest, it's nice. She kind of contacts me because we've got massive problems with our eldest son just now, the one living with me. She kind of contacts me every day. We have a nice relationship together now. Probably better than it was when we were married, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But I should be like that. Just things, when I was with Sandra, and I never really figured it out at the time, but I do understand now. She quite often said to me, she says, we absolutely love each other. And we did. And we still do. She said, but we might not always live together. We don't know how long this journey is going. And we both grew. I saw her the other day. When I came back from Cuba the second time, I had to go and get something fixed on my computer. And she's born with a computer in her hands. So she's my first port of call. I went around, she goes, what's happened? And I says, I've got some really big news. And she says, I've got some really big news as well. And she goes, you go first. And I says, I've invited Sarah to come and live with me and friends. She goes, what? She said, what did you say? I said, yeah, but her mum's probably got cancer, so we need to do something about that first. It's another little test in life for us. And I said, what news? And I says, where's the ring? Yeah. She's got herself a new boyfriend. I goes, where's the ring? She says, no. She says, how I was really worried about money beforehand. And I said, I told you not to worry. I said, I told you have confidence in yourself. She says, yeah. She said, well, while we were away, I got offered a part-time job to be head of psychology for violence at work for all of the Parisian hospitals. And I says, but you can afford to buy the house now. I said, see, I told you I have confidence in yourself years ago. Yeah. And you never believed me. And I said, look at it now. We're sitting here today. I said, look how much the pair of us have grown from living together. Yeah. I said, even look at the 2 children, your 2 kids. Yeah. They've grown immensely through me and you. Yeah. Being really great souls, having problems. Yeah. Going through difficult times together. But the amount that the pair of us have grown through that relationship. And yeah, we weren't meant to be there for long. We were together maybe 5 years, lived together most of it. But I hadn't cured my PTSD before we moved in together. You know, it was never going to last because of that.
Yeah.
Although, you know, it was kind of almost finished by the time we split up. Uh, and we sit there and we laugh and we look back at some of the things that, you know, we used to do when we were together back in those days. And sitting looking at us now, almost at the kind of pinnacle, the kind of, right, the world is in front of us. It is now ours to take with both hands. Yeah. And it is. The world's at my feet just now. As long as I keep my faith and my self-confidence and my love for myself. I'll know I'll walk through AMT. I know at some point in the distant future, I'll be one of Peter Sage's really great trainers. Yeah. Because it touches my soul and my gut and my heart. And that's why I'm doing it. Yeah.
Well,
It
I
really
mean,
is my reason for doing EMF, because I know I've got a real gift for people. Yeah.
well, and what you said as far as, you know, having faith and believing in yourself, right? I never once thought of, you know, going into business for myself. But then pandemic hit, I was working for the University of Utah Hospital. I realized just how political our medical system was. I was living in a bubble up until then.
Mhm.
And it broke my heart. Another thing that broke my heart is as I was living there or working there rather, um, I didn't. I felt confident, but only on the outside, right? And so I'd have to go out of my way to prove to people that I was worthy. And there was one time where the chair of pediatrics, right? So I worked in the department of pediatrics. So the chair, you know, sent me an email personally, right? So probably second only to the president of the university. And he told me, you know what, Joshua, if you had a superpower, it's giving meaningful feedback and encouragement to others. Like, bro, during a pandemic, that sounds like a pretty great superpower to have. And
Yeah.
I shared that with my boss, my who was the director of ambulatory services, you know, within the outpatient network. And you could, as I was sharing that with him, you could almost see him like buttoning up a suit like an agent in the Matrix, you know, putting on his glasses and like jumping out in front, like, you know, like, so now he's like a Secret Service and like jumping out to like hit a bullet. That's he's like, but that doesn't come with a raise. And so he's literally said that doesn't come with a raise. And he looked nervous and he had a nervous laugh when he said that. And at first, I kind of brushed it off. And then the next day, I realized, oh my God, he sees so much more in me than I even see in myself. And it was at that point that I realized that, hey, I've got to figure out a way to see that within myself. And a job opportunity presented itself to get into high ticket sales. I knew that I could sell because that's what I did. I basically would communicate in a way to get people to buy into my ideas when I was doing data analysis for all the different outpatient network. So I was like, okay, I feel within my heart that I can do this, and I did pretty well. And then once I met Ed Stracher, everything changed. Everything changed. I got so caught up in the meditating, I got so caught up in the healing. It kind of overwhelmed me and took over my life. And I ended up getting fired from that job because and then everyone else who was there ended up leaving because the guy who hired me started resonating at a very low frequency and I could feel it. And it was just pushing me away. I didn't want to be there anymore. And so it was obvious that I didn't want to be there anymore. So he's pretty quick to fire people. I was there for a year, which was, great. It taught me a lot. Well, Peter talks about how, go into business for yourself and you can find that you can create the life that you've always wanted. And so now I'm in a place where, okay, well, now I got to figure this out. My back's against the wall. And so it forced me to start looking into what I've been taught, what I've learned from Peter, what I've learned from Ed, started with just getting testimonials from people like yourself for one. And then that helped me figure out, okay, so this is something I can do. And then I just started learning more, started figuring out, started getting referrals because people would refer people to me. And that's something that I have no control over. But I found that the more calm that I felt, the more secure that I felt, the more people would actually come into my environment. And it's fascinating, man. It's fascinating. I'm actually going to have a conversation with somebody who has known that I'm a healer for, quite a while, who could probably have used my services for quite a while. And yet I wasn't quite ready to be able to help them. But now that I'm ready to help them, it just kind of fell in my lap. They're like, hey, who do you know that can do this? Right? We were just having a conversation in the Quantum Alignment Foundation last Sunday. And hey, who do you know who can do this? And I just kind of started waving. And he's like, oh, really? And so booked a call, and it all comes from within, right? When we have that sense of security, that sense of safety, that sense of love, where we radiate that out. And I see this as the idea of change myself and I change the world. And so now that I can give myself that love, I can give myself that sense of security that I can handle anything in the outside world. I'm seeing more productivity, making more money than I've ever made on my own. And it's strange, amazing, but strange, and strange in a good way. And what a blessing. What a blessing to be able to see that, hey, I want to do something honorable, and let's separate from my wife, start this journey. And by starting that journey, it gave me the ability to believe in myself, even though there was a lot of chaos around me, to believe in myself, even though the pandemic, there's even more chaos around me, to believe in myself, to start a new venture, even though I didn't have any sort of concrete evidence other than belief in myself that I could do it. And I proved myself right. And then, believe in myself even more when I saw Peter talking. It's like, hey, I have to do this. This is something I feel it. I feel it resonating deep within me that this is something I need to do. And to be able to have that sense, like you said, faith in yourself, I mean, your whole world changes.
But it just blows away, to tell you the truth. I really love what you just said, by the way. Yeah, how you kind of grew into this quite naturally.
Yeah.
Because it was meant to be. Yeah. Because we never know what's meant to happen in life. Yeah. Because there is only now, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So although we might make great plans and things, we both, me and you, come from kind of backgrounds, yeah, which weren't great. We both developed a faith in ourselves and a faith in the power of what we believe in, deliver us to where we are today.
Yeah.
And developing that love and faith in yourself. And you're right, you go out into the world and it doesn't really bother you anything, does it? You look at things from different perspectives now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things I love to do, especially, with people in groups of people, is just stand back, go and sit in the director's box. With everything in life. Yeah. Everybody that you meet. Yeah. It's one of my great pastimes, actually, sitting in the director's box when I meet people. Yeah. And just watching where they're coming from. Yeah. Without any emotion attached. Yeah.
Right.
And then you can really figure out, okay, well, I now understand why they say that. Yeah. Yeah. My dance teacher in Cuba, I see loads of patterns running in her, ones that I'm going to help her fix at some point, hopefully, if she wants to. But you start noticing patterns in people, it's like level of consciousness things, or, level where you are yourself, and, just the way that people self-talk and, their body postures, the way they act. It's all very informative. And when you're where you are, where I am, in a nice stage of love, we're here to serve others, aren't we? To make them really realize their gift in life, to realize their greatness. Yeah. And that's our gift. Yeah.
Well, and that's an idea I've been playing with, is that as I'm growing into, right, this kind of, master of my own universe, that it's not that I'm special and so I'm able to give this gift to others. It's that I'm able to give this gift to others, and that's what makes me special.
Yeah, they learn how to do it themselves, Who was it? Was it Aaron or the Laz said the other day? Really, what we are, I use the word guide because I really believe I'm a kind of guide in life. Yeah. And very, in both my personal life, my social life, my business life, it's all like guiding people, yeah, whether it's through history or family history or through personal development.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of really look at myself as a guide. And what I do is facilitate others who want to love themselves.
Yeah.
And I can tell, I've got a huge sixth sense. I can always tell when people are asking questions about life, who in the group. Yeah. And it's really interesting. And, on a daily basis, I try to just point people in the right direction. Yeah. Yeah. Whether they want to talk to me or not, or just give them a few suggestions. You go and look at that on YouTube. That might be interesting for you,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this, it really changed my life. Maybe you might be interested. Yeah. So, I wish I didn't live in France from this point of view, and I lived in a country where they all spoke English. It would make my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I bet. That's funny.
So yeah, that's one of my challenges though for EMF, I live in a country where they basically don't speak English that much, and they don't really like speaking it that much either. So getting clients in France is going to be difficult, so, my clients are going to have to come from abroad probably,
Mm.
But yeah, I'm not giving up being a tour guide. I'm going to become a trainer, and
Yeah.
eventually training will be my main business in the future. Part of my dream was to spend most of my, a good part of my life living in Cuba, for obvious reasons. Women and death, and it's bloody hot there as well. And I love the sun, and I hate the cold.
Which is funny. Well, I mean, which is funny being Scottish, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
that's about all you get.
Yeah, that's precisely what I absolutely detest the cold. Give me sun any day. And I had plans of spending, I'm still going to run my tour business and do EMT at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in about 10 years' time, I'll give up being a tour guide because I love it. And people think I'm a great tour guide. So, it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I bet you are, man.
And I'm going to do run EMTs at the same time. It's a lot to learn from both, to tell you the truth. How I quite often mix EMF. Well, I learned in EMF. And in fact, I do it all the time. Every time I do a tour, I make something out of EMF that I've learned. The way people behave, or relationships and all sorts of stuff.
Well, and that's what life is about, right? It's
But
about
it's all
learning from
growing
the
and
feedback.
learning. I love to learn every day.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 subjects, so all my great passions that I can learn every day. I'll never know everything there is to know about the Second World War. It's totally impossible. It's too big a subject.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though sometimes I go to the same site 5 or 6 times, day after day, I've got something different to talk about every day.
Yeah.
Big subject. Now, EMF, EMT, psychology, learning to love yourself, having faith in the universe or God or whoever you want to do. That's a subject which is, ever expanded. Yeah. You're never going to, there's always stuff to learn, always stuff to appreciate, and all the different perspectives. Yeah.
Well, and I think that in this day and age, people are much more open to the idea of God in the sense of where you and I might be coming from.
Yeah.
I think of God certainly as love, but as everything, right? People will say
it's an encountering energy. Yeah.
Well, the universal energy field, that's literally within everything. People might say, well, if there was a God, why would he allow bad things to happen? Because God is everything. And if God is everything, then God cannot disallow, because then he's not, then he or she or it is no longer everything. God is everything. And there's this idea that Jordan Peterson brought up that I really liked. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember the whole thing, but just the idea that, what if bad is able to be manifest in the world because the good that can come from it is just that much better. And that's the whole reason why it's there. I mean, you and I have both talked about how, on our path, we've had a lot of bad things happen, right? And those bad things had led us to become stronger people. And now that we're stronger people, like you said, well, we're here to serve others, right? Now that we're in a place to to help ourselves. Well, now we can help others. And if we can help others, well, then we can start, rowing this boat in a direction that actually serves humanity instead of just, serving short-term interests.
Yeah, well, you never grow. Well, you could say, if you live your life in a comfort zone, you never grow anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's the difficult experiences in life is where you grow.
Yeah.
It's not, the pleasurable ones are nice, but it's the difficult ones that turn you into who you really are.
Yep.
Yeah. How you perceive it, how you relate to it, how you action on it. Yeah. And how you learn and grow from that experience. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Well,
And you
man,
need faith for that. Yeah.
Absolutely you do. Absolutely you do. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. This has been fantastic.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, my pleasure, man. I bring people on here who I'm personally interested in. I could tell that you had a great story to relate. I'm sure we only got into a small part of it. And I really, what I hope people get out of this is this idea that if people aren't interesting, you're probably not listening hard enough, because everyone's interesting.
That's a very great statement, mate. Yeah. Because there's something in everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
And it all depends on how we look at them. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Our perspective on them. One of the biggest, I probably went through my life judging people when I had PTSD, victim mode, judging people. And to learn not to judge, but to watch.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to talk.
It's powerful.
Yeah. This is just incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I love it, man.
It's like the car that overtakes you badly on the road. And you go, I'm glad I'm not in that car.
Yeah. Yeah. I no longer have to be that guy who flips people off or need to try and pull ahead of them and then hurry and slam on my brakes and be a dick. Right. I can just be, like you said, hey, I'm glad I'm not in that car. Hey, I hope.
Right. Well, listen, God bless you, Josh.
Yeah. Hey, same to you, man. God bless you.
Yeah, it's been a really good chat. Thanks ever so much. Anytime you want, mate, Josh. Yeah. Well, I don't mind. So I'm very happy to talk to you anytime you want.
I've always wanted to visit Cuba. I've always wanted to learn how to salsa dance, and so I see some correlation there. And so maybe next time you go to Cuba, I'll be in a position to be like, hey, maybe I could take a month out and go hang out with Eric.
Yeah.
Two guys with stellar hats, right? And then
yeah. One of the things I thought, I've got loads of hats. I've got no hair, so I wear hats all the time, just even in the house to keep my head warm. That's the first time I was there for a month, I couldn't find a hat I liked. So there's loads of cheap, nasty tourist hats, right?
Yeah.
And I even asked loads of people, you can get a decent hat. No, in the shop there, nah, I couldn't find one anywhere. Searched on the internet, see if there was any hat shops, listed in Cuba and stuff. And the second time I was there, searched around again, nah. And a couple of days before I was leaving, I was walking through the center of the town late at night. I saw a hat in the shop window, and I thought, okay. I went back with Syra the next day. Went in. It was too big. She picked out another one. It might not be the best quality hat in the world, but it's a really nice hat. At least I managed to find a hat in Cuba. I saw one guy wearing a really nice hat one day, and I asked him. I stopped him. And I said, excuse me, yo hablo inglés. And he goes. Then he explained to me that he'd actually made it himself. And I thought, shit. It's a really nice hat. Why can't I buy that in the shop, right? Yeah. No, we just don't do. Cuba's a really kind of iron opener. It's a bit like going on an EMF course, to tell you the truth.
I like that.
Really is an eye opener for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so poor.
Well,
sometimes
go ahead.
No water, no electricity, no toilet paper, all sorts of stuff, right? Vast parts of the country, no electricity, no internet service. I thought I might in the future years be able to. It might possible, but my plans are changing. I hope she's coming here. But I was going to spend a few months in Cuba every winter. But they need to get their internet service. I know Orange are laying a new cable in the Caribbean, in the south of Cuba somewhere, but my plans was to spend 6 months in France, 6 months in Cuba. And then Sarah said to me, "No, don't come and live and work here, Eric." She says it's too difficult. And that day, and later on that day, I didn't have 3 hours. So I had no electricity or internet.
Uh,
And they don't allow Zoom in Cuba, or America doesn't allow Zoom in Cuba. So I'd have to use a VPN address or something like that. So it really made me realize, and that's probably kind of what maybe led into what future plan conversations I would like with my dance teacher, and ended up me inviting her to come and live in France. All went well in the end of the day.
So many variables, and it's it's interesting the way the world works.
Isn't it? You can never tell.
Yeah.
Right. God bless you. Off you go.
Hey, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. You're a brilliant
Welcome,
person.
man. You know that anytime.
I can't wait to see when you graduate and get your EMT certification and start your first cohort, because I think that there's a lot of people that could use your guidance.
Well, thank you very much. I take it always a massive compliment. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and God bless, man.
God bless you, mate. Yeah. After yourself. And I mean, if you want to do any more, absolutely my pleasure, mate. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, we should connect for sure and talk about that.
Yeah. I try and I've done quantum alignment a few times as well. The egregores and the and all the rest of it. That's absolutely brilliant. I didn't mean to try and get on, but I'm really, really busy with all sorts of stuff just now. I've got a limited kind of spare time just now.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of going into EMT just now rather than kind of sitting in other little group meetings. Although I need to be part of the group meetings. I'll try and maybe join at some point.
Nice.
The quantum alignment stuff. I just managing time.
Yeah. Well, with you and with anyone watching, right? It's all about doing what serves you best. And it sounds like EMT is what serves you best right now. And,
yeah, I think so, mate. I see it as my future. It's what I'm meant to do.
I love it.
That's the way I look at it. It's what I'm meant to do. Right.
God
bless.
Gonna
go, mate.
You take care.
After
It's been wonderful. Awesome, man.